I think the thing about the original Heroes, which was so compelling to people, was that the whole concept of ordinary people with extraordinary powers or extraordinary abilities. And so it wasn't men in capes and suits who have been fighting crimes their whole lives. It was kids, and it was young people, and it was older people, and it was people that were not sure what was happening to them. And so there was an element of relatability to somebody's feeling of, you know, oh my God, what's going on with me? What's wrong with me? And then you have someone like Hero who just embraces it entirely and can't get enough of it and wants to harness it and control it and make, you know, and have it lead him to his destiny. It was one of the reasons I think that the character of Hero was so much fun for everybody, was that he was, rather than, you know, hand-wringing, he was, this is the greatest thing ever, and I'm going to figure it out until I've got it completely nailed. And it will lead me to my destiny and my quest. And so it sort of ran the gamut of how people would respond. So you have the superhero element, but applied to normal people who might not like the idea that they can turn invisible or could fly or whatever it is. And then on top of that, I think, is just the wish fulfillment that all superhero stories have of, the world is beyond my control. I'm not big enough, strong enough, influential enough to affect events around me. What if I could fly? What if I could be invisible? What if I could read minds? Whatever it is. So I think that is the element which is universal in all stories about people with powers or abilities, is the wish fulfillment of an audience to say, man, that would be so great, and I could really handle my life if I could do that. And then they get to see, you know, people do it. And usually it leads to, you know, much more complicated circumstances, but they still, it's a great thing for an audience to feel like, you know, if I could do that, my world would be so much easier. Heroes Reborn picks up 5 years after the original Heroes series ended. And there was a bit of a Holocaust where there was a big summit with people with powers came together, hopefully, you know, trying to work things out, and something went terribly wrong. And we don't know right away what it is that went wrong, but we know that thousands of people died. And that is a very different landscape now, where states have reproductive laws against people with powers having children. People are being, you know, locked up in some cases, and a lot of people have just been driven underground. If they have abilities, they are keeping them very much out of sight. So in terms of some of our original folks, some of them are around, some of them are gone, some of them are hiding. And we pick up with a lot of new characters that we have not yet met. And some of them are very much in control of their abilities, and some of them are very much not in control and are trying to keep it under wraps. So it's a more dangerous world to have woken up to be a person with abilities. Tim explained to me that HRG would be sort of the spine of the story, the guy who kind of served the same function as in the original series, which is the person who can connect all these other people. And well, in the first go-around, HRG really knew what people were doing and what they were up to and what they were capable of, more so than now. This current iteration, HRG has a lot of catching up to do. And getting up to speed with who people are and what's going on and what the conspiracy is and what the, you know, so which is actually really kind of fun, because he's always been the man with the plan, but this one is more a little bit on the fly. He hasn't had the chance to figure it out so much, and so there's learning and planning being done all at the same time. HRG, as our story begins, is doing what he did a long time ago. He's selling cars in Austin, Texas. and he has a lady love and is doing his best to settle down. That was never going to be in the cards for HRG, obviously, and this character, Quentin Frady, a real conspiracy guy, a truther, a hero's truther, not necessarily the hero's truther, shows up and with a lot of questions and a lot of information that even HRG doesn't have. It was crazy to put the glasses on again, and the first time I put the glasses on again was for the Super Bowl ad, and I actually had those glasses, and when we did the promo, they called me and said, "Do you have a pair? Because we don't." And I did, and now they've reordered them from the original company, and there are several different kinds, and I'm actually looking forward to this year too, because I'm going to have a pair of the HRGs which have my actual prescription, so that's going to be good, and so that day I don't have to wear contact lenses. But yeah, just putting the glasses on again after 5 years was it's kind of crazy, and it takes a minute or two to figure out who you are and who you were and get comfortable again, and it doesn't take that long. But the first time I put them on was and as you see, the very first time I put them on, I get savagely attacked moments after. So it's dangerous to be HRG. Not a lot. Only part of a day, but crucial information. If you haven't seen the original show of Heroes and you're just tuning into Heroes Reborn, I think you get up to speed very quickly as to what has happened in this world. But then in Heroes fashion, there's a lot of threads and a lot of storytelling, and our characters are in different worlds and slowly start making their way inevitably toward each other and toward the big truth or the big moment. So I think what you will see is, if you have not seen the show before, it's a little bit of a detective story with a whole lot of seemingly unconnected parts that eventually become connected. And I think that was the real fun of it, especially that very first season, was, how are Matt Parkman and Hiro Nakamura how are their worlds going to connect? Where do they connect? Under what circumstances? And so we have a lot of that this time around too, which is these separate satellites all on their own, in their own orbit, eventually coming together and colliding, and it's a mystery. It's a detective story.